If you noticed all the pretty colors, it's no rainbow, and I am not gay. As Freud said, sometimes a cigar is just a cigar. So, let's get started. It has to be noted that some people are better than other people in the LDS Church, not only due to priesthood rank or scope of authority, which grants instant immunity to criticism and perfect revelation on almost any subject, but also due to place of birth, a mission served, or a time of membership. Ironically, the Book of Mormon gives us the story of the Rameumptom, from which every man offered up the selfsame prayer unto God, thanking their God that they were chosen of Him, and that He did not lead them away after the tradition of their brethren. And thus goes every fast and testimony meeting. I know the church is true. I am so blessed with the gospel and my family. I am grateful that truth has been restored to us, and we can enjoy the fullness of the gospel in our church. Yeah. Thank you for making me one of the special people, and having all those blessings that all the other poor delusional slobs don't have. It's the thought that counts. Yay for the special people! In general, the attitudes towards other members and non-members is the same as the Pharisees of old. The Pharisee stood and prayed thus with himself, God, I thank Thee that I am not as other men are, extortioners, unjust, adulterous, or even as this publican. Wait, how did this go again?
Blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth.
The LDS scriptures say, you must study it out in your mind, and if it be right, I will cause that your bosom shall burn within you. And Apostle Worthland said, some people exalt themselves above God and His anointed servants because of their learning and scholarly achievements. We must never allow our intellect to take priority over our spirit. So we learn that good feelings dictate true truth. Learning things from history, science, etc. is useless if it does not agree with church doctrine. We don't care that Joseph Smith couldn't translate Egyptian, and still think the Book of Abraham is inspired translation, although it's clear that
it's a fake.
We don't care that most of Genesis and related books is ludicrous by any historical and scientific standard. And we don't care that scriptures and even prophets until the 1960s taught racism as doctrine.
Brigham Young said, Cain slew his brother, and the Lord put a mark upon him, which is the flat nose and black skin.
It's behind us. Look, that's behind us. Don't worry about those little flicks of history.
Remember, obedience brings victory. And victory is life.
So we are told, to anyone because of truth may be tempted to become a dissenter against the Lord and His anointed. Weigh carefully your action. Well, thank you, I have. This is probably my biggest pet peeve. It says in the Articles of Faith, if there's anything virtuous, lovely, of good report, or praiseworthy, seek after these things. But nobody gets this, really. My pet peeve has two main facets. Firstly, apparently LDS people cannot decide for themselves what is good and what is not. That must be why priesthood leaders encourage them to limit what one sees and reads to church-approved materials only, if possible. Secondly, and most importantly, LDS people will always focus on the bad. Whether you're watching a movie, reading a book, or listening to music, they are guaranteed to pick out the single swear word, the one uncomfortable scene, or the one morally ambiguous character, and whine about it without end. Instead of trying to salvage the experience by focusing on what was good or uplifting, they instead feel they have to prove that they have the Spirit with them to be appropriately offended by evil. Thus, they exist in a continuous state of being, or at least acting, offended. This focus on small, irrelevant, or outward things permeates most of LDS thinking. Wait, how did this go again?
Wherefore think ye evil in your hearts?
Thus say the Scriptures, Thou sawest till that a stone was cut out without hands, and it became a great mountain and filled the whole earth. The church has made a movie about their progress. Look at all the big red dots covering that map, and the light show that covers up all the open area. Beautiful, but very misleading. It has been 180 years since the founding of the church. It has now about 13 million members on record. Less than half are active. Studies estimate 4 to 5 million. In comparison, Scientology claims about 8 million members, including inactives, and the Jehovah's Witnesses claim about 7 million active members. Keep in mind, these are the people that lose most of their members every so often when one of their doomsday predictions fails. Also, both religions are much younger. And I am supposed to be impressed? 5 million out of 6.8 billion is not even a pitiful 0.1% of humanity on this earth right now.
In conclusion, I have a rather personal note. Consider the Norse Germanic myth of the Valkyries. The Valkyries are the handmaidens of Odin, angels, if you will. Odin, the All-Father, would send them out to gather him an army to fight with the gods against evil at the end of days. So the Valkyries ride across the skies, searching for worthy and valiant warriors that die the hero's death in battle. They snatch up the worthy dead and carry them to Valhalla, there to celebrate with them until the day of the great battle arrives. Not to be chosen by Valkyrie, being left behind, meant a rejection by the gods themselves. In LDS culture, a temple marriage is the key to exaltation in the highest degree of heaven. Thus, being deemed unworthy and not valiant enough by over 50 LDS women means a rejection by God Himself. And as no Valkyrie meant no draft into the army of the gods, no eternal companion means no exaltation.